So welcome to part 3 of my series called Breaking the Habit of Suffering. In the first 2 videos I spoke to you about the ways our brains respond to patterns and how negative thinking can become habitual, and it creates these clear and identifiable neural pathways through the brain. I spoke about suffering as a type of addiction, much like smoking or drugs, but the only difference being that suffering is created by our internal emotional states as opposed to these external substances. So we come to learn these patterns of dependence and familiarity because we know no other way through the problem. So in this video, I want to talk to you about how we can begin to create a new pathway, a new neural pathway through the brain out of suffering and into a very fulfilling and empowered life. The first step to change any unwanted behavior is awareness. We can't change what we don't acknowledge. So the first 2 videos in this series should have helped you identify some of these unhelpful thoughts and behaviors in your life. With trauma, there is always a story. So think about your story. There is probably a victim, a perpetrator. There'll be emotions involved, probably shame, despair, guilt, grief. There may be anger, righteousness, embarrassment, or others. And all of these are experienced to different degrees, but the story will have something to do with your past and something to do with your future. And if this resonates with you, the idea of a story around your trauma, then you have created a pattern, a trauma story pattern, and that is going to lead to suffering. So if the first step in behavioral change is awareness, the second step is a willingness to change. You need to be willing to change the story. But how do you change a story that you've been telling yourself for many years? In this video, I'm going to take you through 3 short steps to do that. So step 1 is to stop trying to fix yourself. If you believe you are a victim or defective or disempowered in some way, then by default you're going to have a narrative that something about you needs to be fixed. You're probably visiting counselors or psychologists, you're probably taking medication or looking at self-help books for answers. But this kind of behavior is continuing the story. It's repeating the pattern. Nothing about you is broken, so nothing needs to be fixed. Something bad happened to you, but you didn't invite this into your life. You're not the problem. You didn't cause it. You didn't do something to deserve it. And if you're telling yourself that you did, then that is part of the problem. You need to change that story. Bad things happen to good people. And that's all it was. Something bad happened to a good person. So we need to stop thinking about what we don't want to happen, and we need to focus on what we do want to happen. And this won't happen through a lens of brokenness and defectiveness. So instead of believing that you can't, I want you to agree that you can. Remember, everything starts with your thoughts. So step 1 is knowing that you aren't broken. So there is nothing to fix. Step 2, we need to unlink thought and emotion. Your senses, your feelings, your emotions are unreliable. We can't always believe our feelings. So think about train tracks merging together in the distance. That's not real. They never do merge, but it looks that way. Your eyes are misguiding you. Or think about a dog whistle. Just because you can't hear the whistle doesn't mean that the sound isn't there. Your dog hears it, but your ears are not tuned to that frequency. So your ears are not reliable informants. Or think about the feeling of love for someone who hurts you or hurts you repeatedly. Now your heart is misled. So we need to unlink our feelings and our senses from our thoughts so that we're not tricked into a false belief. I have another 2 videos about the 90-second rule on this channel. They look like this. If you haven't checked them out, have a look because they talk about how we can change our emotional state in as little as 90 seconds. And will help you with step 2, which is choose to change this link between thought and emotion. So do that by engaging in contrary or paradoxical activity to how you're feeling. So what I mean by that is, if you don't feel like exercising, then get up and exercise. If you do feel like eating that bowl of chips or block of chocolate, then don't eat the chips and the chocolate. If you feel like crying, then put on some happy, energized music and get up and dance. By engaging in this paradoxical activity, you're teaching yourself that you can control your behavior and your mind, and you will get a chemical hit of dopamine, of serotonin and oxytocin, or some other endorphin that makes you feel better. And most importantly, you're proving to yourself that you can do things and that you are not powerless. So in order to change things in your life, you have to change the energy around it, the shift in the emotional state. If you think of the word emotion, it's energy in motion. So start breaking the patterns and believing that you can't. Shift the energy and the focus and start showing yourself that you can. And the last step for this video is step 3, rewriting the next chapter. Now, I can never get you to forget what's happened to you. That's unrealistic, and frankly, it's impossible. I won't even tell you to move on from it, because there are things that have perhaps happened to you that cannot be left behind. Things like childhood sexual abuse, losing a child, the death of a child, or other deeply traumatic and grief-filled events will never truly be left in the past. I lost my mum 2 months ago after watching her decline for 8 long years with dementia, and the things I watched her go through I can never unsee, and they'll always be with me. But the pain and suffering that I watched at the end was only part of her life. There were so many other moments of joy, of love, of laughter, appreciation, fun and happiness. But the last few years have clouded some of those happy moments and have left me with some deep sorrow and regret and loss. So I now need to choose what I'll write in the next chapter. I can't change the things that have happened, and when the grief settles a little, and it will, I'll be able to revisit the earlier chapters of my story with my mother when things were wonderful and untouched by the pain of dementia. But for now, I need to find a way to forge through those deep hurt emotions that I still feel. And yes, I can do things like I suggested in step 2 of this video to shift how I'm feeling in the moment. But deep grief will resurface, and we can't just dance our way through it endlessly. So I need to choose how I'm going to write this next chapter. And this is hard, I know, but I have a choice, and so do you. Bad things happen to good people, and pain is inevitable, but I can't choose to suffer. How would a life of suffering honour my mother, honour my children, or honour myself? So here is the crux of the next chapter. Instead of moving on from it, I will move forward with it. Now, I want to repeat that for you, because this is one of the most critical parts of overcoming your trauma. You don't move on from it, but you can move forward with it. You'll never create a new future if you're still living in the past. So you have to pack up the pain and the sorrow. You have to put it in your travel bag, and you have to choose to bring it with you. By doing this, you are validating the underlying human condition of loss, of sorrow, of grief, whatever it is. These are normal human emotions. They're painful ones, but they're normal. Sorrow and grief should not be met with antidepressants. They should not be met with denial. They should not be met with leave it in the past or move on from it. That's not helpful. My next chapter now will be the chapter of acceptance, of awareness, of love, of changing what I can and controlling what's controllable. And the rest, well, that will move forward into the next chapter and the next, and that will continue until the story changes and I overcome. You can't always choose what happens, but you can always choose what you do in response. There's a wonderful little analogy, a little saying that I use with my clients, and it says, you can't control the direction of the wind, but you can adjust your sails. So if you wrote your story and you were the victim, then the good news is you get to write the next chapter now, and you can be whoever you want to be in your story. Biography is not destiny, and the story has not been written for you. You are the author. So are you going to keep telling the same story, which ensures the same suffering and the same results and the same pain? Or are you going to accept that moment is over And that painful moment, whilst you can bring it with you, the suffering doesn't have to continue, and you can step up into the powerful moment of now and start writing that new chapter. So that's all for now. If you want to support the work I'm trying to do, which is to provide a free support service for anyone seeking this kind of help, then please help me by subscribing. I believe there's a bell icon that you can click that notifies you of my posts. My goal is to reach more people and to help empower more lives, and I can only do that with your support. I hope this has been helpful and that you'll join me in future videos. I also have a Facebook group, you can search for that under Brain and Beyond, and a Dementia Support Caregivers group, which I'll put a link to in the description section below. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other, and have a happy and peace-filled day. Bye now.